Hello and welcome to this video presentation. My name is Paul Brett and I am a Senior Software Support Analyst working with the IBM Transformation Extender product. This video is about using the Amazon S3 adapter with ITX. Please feel free to follow me on Twitter at PaulBrettIBM, and if you like this video, please consider clicking the like button and maybe subscribing to my channel. So let's start at the beginning, as we always should. Let's start at the AWS Management Console. I'm going to log in here and I'm going to immediately bring up the IAM application, which is Amazon's security front end, Identity and Access Management. First thing we're going to point out is I've created a group. The group is called the S3 group, and if I click on the group has a member, hcl.user, and the permissions assigned to this group is a policy Amazon S3 full access. Let's have a quick look at the users. As I said, I have a user called hcl.user, which I'm going to be using for my maps. And within that user, it's appropriated the permissions from the group Amazon S3 full access. And if we go into the security credentials tab, when I created the user, it automatically created an access key ID for me, and also created a security key, which I was only allowed to view once. If I was to create another access key here now, I would then get a new security key which I could view once, make a note of, and then I would be using those in my maps. The access key and security key that I'm using in these videos today will be deactivated at the end of the video. Here we are back at the Management Console, and the next application that I'm going to pick is the S3 application from my recently visited services. Here we can see the buckets that I've defined, and the one we're going to be using for our demonstration today is hcl.user.bucket.1. I'm going to click on that now, and you will see that there are currently 0 objects in this bucket. After we have run our map, we hope to populate this bucket with some objects, and we'll return to this page to show them as they appear. Here we are in the IBM Transformation Extender 10.03 Design Studio, and as you can see I have one extender project called Amazon S3. Within that project, in the miscellaneous section, I have a file called input.txt. This file contains the phrase "Hello World." This is my first document upload to S3, and then in square brackets I've put HCL user just to show it's coming from me. Let's close that for a moment and have a quick look at what else I have. I have a simple type tree called generic.mtt. It only has one object and it's an infinite length text blob. The map itself is here. It's called test.mms. And within it contains 2 executable maps. First one called test1 put, the second map called test2 get. Now test1 put on the input side reads the input file using the file adapter, and then just maps that with no mapping at all to the output side, the output card, which is using the Amazon S3 adapter. Let's just have a quick look at this connection string here. I have an AK, which is my access key. I have a -SK, which is my secret key. I have a -R, showing my region, US East 2. A -B to indicate the bucket that I'm going to deploy my object to. And a -K indicating the name that I want that object to take. And here I'm using payload1.txt. And finally I have the verbose tracing turned on for the adapter. So there's that. If I now build and run this map, the map completed successfully, and if we go to the console in the next step, we will see that the message has arrived into the bucket. And as you can see on the HCL user.bucket.1, as I press the refresh button, it now shows the payload1.txt object has arrived. It shows it being 69 bytes in size. It's got a date and timestamp there as well. Okay, let's use TX to bring it back into the map. Back in the Design Studio, let's run the test2get map. The input card for this map has pretty much the same values that the output card had for the test1 put map. We have an access key, we have a secret key, we have a region, we have a bucket, we have an object name, which is payload1.txt, and we have the verbose tracing turned on. On the output side, we're going to be creating the file output.txt. Let's just quickly bring up the File Explorer area showing that the output.txt file does not currently exist. Back in the Design Studio, let's build and run. The map has completed successfully, and we now have our file output.txt, and it should match exactly what we put into the bucket in the first place. Hello world, this is my first document upload to S3. So there we go, that's a short summary of using the Amazon S3 adapter with the Design Studio. Here we are at the Design Server UI, and I've logged in as administrator, and I have one project that I've imported and altered slightly. I'll just go through that project now. So we've got both of our maps, test1 put and test2 get. Let's fire up test1 put. You will note that we have one input card, one output card. The input card is still reading the input file, input.txt, and the output is still writing to the S3 adapter. However, if you go into the connection properties, you will note that the various fields have been split into boxes that you can actually enter, and you can actually fetch the list of buckets available and fill in these fields. So let's come out of that for the moment. On the input side, I did make one change to the action properties, and that was turn on the REST flag so that I can call this via the REST API later. I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to execute this via the design server now. Let's have a quick look at the S3 management console, which shows that there are no objects in the bucket, the same bucket hcl.user.bucket.1. So I'm going to build and run this map. Build and run. Okay, so the map has executed successfully. I'll just quickly show you the data that was read by the input card. It was the text message that we designed earlier. Hello world, this is my first document, blah blah. And if we have a look now at the S3 management console and do a refresh, you will note that the payload has arrived as payload1.txt, and it's 69 bytes again, and it is the content of that text file. How do we know this, you say? Well, let's go back to the design server and close test1 put for the moment and fire up test2 get. Okay, what I've done with this map is I have changed the settings of input card 1 to read just from the echo adapter, and I've turned on REST input as well, so we can call this map from REST later. I'm not reading the S3 data using the input card because it wasn't compatible with also calling the map via REST. What I'm doing on the output card is using a get function to get the information, but the output card is actually also going to REST for this output for calling later. But this map still does run via the design server, so let's fire that up now. Let's build, let's run. The map has completed successfully. If we have a quick look at input and view the data, you will see that the data is blank because it's just reading in the echo adapter that I had set for that. But this information is not going anywhere anyway. The important thing is that the out card has retrieved the data from S3, and here's the data coming back to us. That's actually coming from the S3 adapter in the get function. Okay, so back in the management console, I'm going to wipe out this payload, and then I'm going to show you executing both those maps via the REST API. So let's delete these, permanently delete objects. Okay, so that's done. Our object bucket is now empty again. If we have a quick look at our Swagger UI and list all deployed packages, let's execute that. You will note that the count of deployed packages is 0. If we have a look at our endpoints and do a quick refresh, you will note that there's no maps deployed here. Okay, next step is to deploy these maps. So let's go into the deploy area. I've already got the server pre-configured, I've got the package pre-configured, so I'm just going to go ahead and deploy those. Deployed successfully, thank you very much. We have a look at our Swagger UI, execute this API again one time, and it tells me that there's one package has been deployed called package 1, and if we have a look at our endpoints and refresh this page, you will note that there are 4 endpoints, 2 maps that we can call either synchronously or asynchronously. And just remember that the bucket is currently empty. Let's go and run the put map. We'll click the try it out button here. I'm not going to provide input in this field. Instead, I'm going to use the text plain option, and I'm just going to throw some XML in here. Root data hello from the REST API. Now my map is just expecting a text blob. It doesn't really care about XML, but the map could be set to read XML. That's by the by. As it happens, it isn't, but it could be. So I'm just going to execute this now. Down below it says that the map completed successfully. There's no output from this map. However, on the S3 system in our bucket, when we refresh this screen, we again have our payload arrive. Great. Okay, let's use the get map to retrieve that data. Here we have test2get. We'll try it out. Not going to provide any input there. I am just going to execute. Now the map has completed successfully, and I can click on this download file to look at the content, but I'm going to cheat. I'm going to get the curl command, copy that to clipboard, open up a command prompt, and I'm going to rerun the map again, this time with curl at the command line, because the command line gives me the output straight away and I don't have to go looking for it. So there we go. We are running the test2get map. We are sending in absolutely nothing via the REST API. But what the map is doing is retrieving the message from Amazon S3 and bringing it back via REST. There we go, a whirlwind tour of using Amazon S3 through the ITX design server. Thank you for viewing my video presentation today. If you found the content interesting and informative, hit that like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want, follow me on Twitter at PaulBrettIBM. Thank you.